As fantastic a CFP as Mello is, and as wonderful an attorney as I am, please do note that anything said in our show are our opinions alone and are not meant to be taken as financial or legal advice.
Welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, a Gen Xer podcast for musicians and music lovers, where we discuss money and music without all the pretentious bullshit. Here are your hosts, Zoe Terry, attorney at large, and Mel O, certified financial planner and author of Finances, the Other F Word. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, and I am so fucking excited, you guys. Today we are interviewing Upgrade. He is an artist, producer, actor, the star of Licks, mentored by E40 and Too Short, and the producer of the Cali record, which was a joint venture between E40 and Too Short. And I am so fucking excited to hear his story. He's a cool ass dude. Upgrade, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
This is so fucking exciting. So Zoe wasn't really familiar with Too Short. And I was just sharing with Upgrade that the album that came out with In the Ghetto and Don't Fight the Feeling, we used to play that tape, of course, because that's when it was, tape on repeat over and over. Zoe, being from Britain, was not familiar with Too Short. So we had to do a very quick super crash dive into one of his songs when Upgrade came on. So tell us about how everything started. Like, tell us about how you got into the business. Give me your backstory. Give me your genesis.
I've always been a fan of music, specific artists more than others, specific records more than others. And I think that helped fine tune like my sound, basically. Like even like earlier in I would say TV wise, like I had a couple favorite, like, you know, like grunge bands like Green Day. When they stuff would come on, when the rock would come on, instead of just being like, oh, it's rock, what the hell? I'd be like, I like that, you know, like maybe it's not my tempo, but like I like the guitar riffs and everything. And this is before what I knew what a riff was. But basically it was like dope loops. Like I could rap on that if I slow it down, if I speed it up. So I liked like Green Day. I liked I forget what their name is. But they made a song called 1979. And I was like, this is a wavy ass.
Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah. I remember I used to listen to that song. Like, that was a song that, like, maybe from my cultural background, people be looking like, what you doing knowing that song? Like, it's pretty dope, man. I can't find the instrumental, but like, I think I could do something with that if I had the tools. So I grew up a lot of house parties. So I had a good sound of what song was gonna blow up. I was proud. You know how like you like a song and then it blows up major. You're like, look, I was sharing this 2 years ago or whatever. So I did that a lot. And you know, my cultural background and being somebody who needed some money, to say the least, I found a laptop. Let's just say that. I found a laptop. And this was like a Mac laptop in the early 2000s. And it still had like a screen you can move around. It kind of looked like the Pixar thing that jumps around with a big screen on it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it had GarageBand on it. And I knew about GarageBand being like a music software because at my house I had like a beat down Dell, but I had free Pro Tools. So I'm kicking it with my friends. We're doing whatever we got to do to survive, keep some money in our pocket. But I'm working on these beats. And so we found this laptop or this computer, and I really fell in love with the 808s on it. Even to this day, one of my biggest songs is Drop It to the Clap. I made that on GarageBand, which is basically a software that comes with all Macs. It's just like pre-programmed in if you choose that package or whatever. So we used to work on like production on this. At first, we didn't even know how to slow down the tempo. So everything was 120. So we'd be like, oh, this would be hella tight once we learn how to slow it down. But we'd be listening to it like thump, thump. It was almost like some house music and shit. But I'd be like, you slow this down. We got a hit. Maybe we should make the beat, give it to a DJ to slow down. And then I think it was one of my friend's moms who looked like, I think that 120 right there, you probably pull that down or slow everything down. And it did. So from then we're producing and stuff. we getting into some studios, but a lot of the songs that we're making are taking off kind of good. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm one of the artists who still went viral on MySpace locally. So
Mm.
we're putting stuff on MySpace and it's kind of blowing up. And then I heard about a nonprofit called Youth Uprising, and everybody would tell me they got studios in there, and I think it's free. It's like, free. I'm gonna go up there, you know. So I came up there. A lot of the youth knew who I was. Um, I wasn't maybe as mature as I am now, but I was showed that I knew how to take a working environment serious. So they had a meeting, and they offered me a job. We're going to teach you how to engineer, and then we're going to pay you to teach the kids how to engineer, you know. And for now, we'll put you on a stipend and stuff, and if the kids show up, we'll figure it out later. So the kids showed up in abundance. A lot of kids was learning how to like record themselves, and I got free studio time outside of teaching. So then it went from that to, you are teaching the kids how to express, but it's a content thing. We need them to at least make one clean song so they could perform it and we don't look like Death Row Records. This is a nonprofit.
Right.
So I did that, and the song I did was Why. It was a Michael Jackson sample of Human Nature. And they
good.
had me rap it for like Ron Dellums, which was the Oakland mayor at the time when he was trying to run. And I had no idea really what I was getting into, but people were like, bro, that's big. Like, for you to perform somewhere where there's like real government politicking going on, like, that's big. So at the time I didn't think nothing of it. And the center, or Youth Uprising as it's really called, but we call it the center, they took a look back at all the artists. Keep in mind that Kamaya, she's done a song with Drake called, with Drake and YG, called Please Why They Hating. She comes from the center too as well.
Mm.
So they're looking at like all these songs that are being done at this nonprofit. So like, what can we do to further their careers? And maybe we take a cut out too, because we're not, you know, it's a business or whatever.
Mhm.
So a man named Ghazi came to the studio, and he works with In-Grooves, and it didn't pan out. I was very immature when it comes to business, and I never signed with nobody. That's basically my downfall. But I still own all my music, so I can't necessarily call it that.
Right.
But you know, like, people would try to sign me. People would be like, "Oh, send me a CD," and I would never be into that or whatever. I would just always be hesitant. But it didn't pan out with the Ghazi situation, but he went on to make Empire. So if you ever hear about Empire artists, this artist signed with Empire. His name is Ghazi, and I got to form a relationship with him before he even made Empire, which was very helpful in my career. And then another breakthrough thing that happened in my career was, while I'm working there, Too Short's manager that handles like his real business works up there too. And I never knew. I used to talk to him about like real complicated street stuff because I was outside at the time and there was a lot of politics. And I'm like, I'm just trying to make music here, not get nobody in trouble, not get myself in trouble, and not get nobody harmed or myself harmed too. But there's a lot of kids who don't get along that keep coming up here. So it's real high level at risk kids coming there at this time, to be honest. And he invited me to downtown Oakland. And when I went up there, Too Short was there. And he was like, I heard you can rap. I was like, yeah, I make beats too. I'm known for rapping and producing. So he was working on his No Trespassing album that came out like maybe 2008. And I got to be on like 3 cuts on there. And it was cool. He used to take me on his like West Coast circuit, and I get to fly out and like, just experience what it's like to be successful and not have a label dictate everywhere you move or whatever. So he would wake up, do an interview, he would do a meet and greet, and he would do a couple of things just moving around. And I just really was like blown back, to be honest. And I learned a lot being on tour with him like that. There was to be honest, like I had to learn kind of keeping your dick in your pants in the road. Like it would be this pressure to get fucked every time we go out someplace. Everybody like, you get a number, you do all this. And I noticed that like he wasn't like that, and I got to know
Really?
Short, and I'm like, wow, this
Wait.
motherfucker.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna come back to that. Really? He wasn't trying to get pussy the whole time?
It wasn't as much as us. We was the we were like, hey, how you doing? What you doing? You trying to eat? You trying to go over here? And he just be kind of kicking it. And if he struck out, he struck out. He would go to sleep, wake up in the morning, do it again. And it's like 5:30. We gotta wake up at an hour. We're still like, hey, so what you trying to? And it's like, damn. Like I see why, like, I think in his head he has a time and like, I give up, time to go to sleep, and I learned that from him too. I call it dick discipline. Man has very good dick discipline. Like,
Oh my God, I love
he
it.
doesn't stay super out late. He doesn't try to spend money to impress. It's like if there's a connection, there's a connection. And another thing about Short I realize is the man is dumb cultured, man. Like he would meet somebody who was mixed, and he'd be able to say, you're Filipino and you have a Spanish last name because you lost the war to the Spanish and the same. That's why I'm like, God damn, how do you know all this? I learned that the second president of Mexico was black from him.
Oh.
And I laughed at him when he told me this shit. I had to Google it. I'm like, how the fuck did you know this? He's like, man, you meet people, you talk about ethnic backgrounds, you talk about beliefs, and you start to learn a lot, and he has been meeting people and talking about, shallow stuff, but like he's very deeper than I ever thought he was. And then when I went to his house, I thought he had a maid, and we kicked it with hella people, woke up in the morning and he handed me a broom, like, you got this floor. I'm like, oh shit, nobody's coming to clean this shit up? He's like, no, we cleaning this shit up. If you want to clean all this, I'll pay you, but you got to clean up your section. You slept here, you got some food over here, somebody's gonna take out the trash, somebody's gonna bust the dishes. I was like, this nigga's really responsible. Okay. So like just being around him, I started to learn that it's not really all the smoke and mirrors that people make it sound, and he's really big on anybody you employ for a job and they don't know you like that, like they're more likely to rob you or whatever, so he's like, I don't want nobody just random in my house. He's also big on drinks, which really made me like, the conspiracy theorist in me, like, if you touch Too Short's drink, he won't touch it again. He'll go get a new cup. He's been doing this since I ever met him, because I've been cussed out by his crew behind like accidentally touching his cup. They got to pour him another cup. I'm like, what's wrong with this cup? You touched that cup. Like, you think I'm gonna roofie Short? What you talking about? Like, my fault. I thought it was my cup. But like, even that, I never had a conversation with him about it. But I always was like, this man is really on his toes, and he does the same thing on the road too. So like, just being around him, it was some growing pains, in the crew, because they're very mature. They've been on the road with Short since like '89, and I'm young and dumb. So there was a time where I left his camera at a girl house in like Oregon. And he was like, nigga, I got the Grammys awards. I need that camera to come, blah, 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 blah. So now I'm Ubering to a girl house I linked up with to pick up the camera. I thought I had more time than I really had. And it was just frustrating, but I got it to him. But I was like, damn, man, this dude's really on his stuff. And I'm leaving cameras places or whatever.
Right.
Does it sound clear to you? It sounds crazy to me right now.
Yeah, you know what? You're lagging, but the audio is coming through good, at least on my end. Yeah, your audio is crystal clear, but you're kind of doing the little lag thing. But I find that, so for those of you out there who are listening, who are familiar with Too Short's music, that does not sound like how he presents himself in the songs. It sounds like he is just a massive pussy chaser, which, I mean, I think most men are to an extent. But the thing that I liked about Too Short is because, of course, my first introduction, whatever the fuck, I'm gonna have to Google that shit and figure out what the fuck the name of that. There's listeners screaming at me right now. What the name of that CD was that had "Don't Fight the Feeling" on it. But the thing that I loved about Too Short is that he let, and I can't remember what Sasha and Tigra, was it Tigra, whatever, and Too Short let them talk massive shit and diss him on his own shit. And I remember even being in 8th grade, and I was like, okay, now you cannot tell me that this motherfucker does not have confidence, that he is going to put that out there, especially because so much of the music industry is bravado, and he's going to let some girls, and again, his music is, it's sexist. I mean, a lot of rock music is sexist too. And, and he's all about that. And then he's just letting these girls completely diss him on his own album. And I thought, man, this fucking dude is like confident as shit, or he's doing a solid favor to somebody, but it doesn't seem like he needs to do favors to people. You know what I mean? So I always thought that was cool. And that was just my very first introduction, was that tape that I'm looking at right now.
He's very into hip hop, man, like very big. And I think I know him and E40 are pretty good for that. 40, he has Sprinkle Me, and that's his family. The Sugar on the other side, kind of like roasting him too. So they knew how to have fair representation, especially Short with his lyrics. You wouldn't think he would let a girl get the best of him, but if you could rap, like he messes with that. That's why probably he had me help out with his Trap Divas project, which is like a lot of showcasing female talent, talking their mess about men. He's on a couple records too, not allowing, but it's like he talks too much shit to not let a girl get her verse off too, which is maybe a response to it or whatever. So like I learned that from him too. Like he really is dope. And another thing you said about his the Ghetto record, a lot of people don't know, if that's not his best selling song, it's next to it. Because last time I checked, even though he's known for the raunchy lyrics, Don't Fight the Feeling is his biggest single that he's ever released. So it's dope that his single where he's just talking about the struggle and really the rhyme and the reason to what's going on in urban culture or whatever is his biggest song. It's not necessarily Blowjob Betty, it's not Blow the Whistle, it's not You Couldn't Be a Better Player. It's him really rapping like in the ghetto. And if I could get a verse like that from him, like I would try to get some dope ass production behind it. Cause like even when I go back and listen to it, like this is a dope song where he really paints a picture of like the struggle or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I looked it up, Upgrade. I don't know how we forgot it. Life is Too Short.
Yeah.
That's the tape. And I loved In the Ghetto. And I thought that was just really deep, and it was kind of a nice break. And of course, every time me and my friends were listening, obviously we're all white, and the guys would rap, Too Short's part, and then I'd be the girl,
Yeah.
You make my ass itch twitch. Don't you wish you could scratch it and grab it like you want it? It's like, it's just fucking, I'm gonna play it for you after this. They are dissing him so bad on it. And it just made me have so much respect for him. And it cracks me up when you talk about like him getting upset when people touch his cup. Girls have been like that forever. We were going to club. It's like, okay, you got to go get your own drink, or if they buy you a drink, you got to be there to get it.
Yeah.
People would have to be holding our drink and stuff like that. Of course, nobody ever roofied me. I'm just saying that it never happened. But
what's wrong with you?
I don't know. But yeah, so that's been doing that a while. So I'm curious, what made you hesitant, or what makes you hesitant to sign with a major? Were they major labels? Were they mid-sized labels? Like what made you?
It was really management. There's a lot of songs that didn't come or transfer down to LA like other artists, because we didn't deal with the management that helped foster a relationship. I'm gonna say his name is Stretch. I still got massive amount of respect for him too, but since we didn't sign with him, the people who did sign with him, which is like I Am Sue and D-Lo, their music converted to Southern Cali more, and they got to be like California regional artists. And some of ours did more than others, but I got to see like I really learned like firsthand, like you could have 100% of $1,200, or you could have, 25% of 100K. It's all on who's a part of your team and are you cool and being a team player. So like I maybe learning that maybe a little too late, but it's just I've seen a lot of people sign away their I would say, let me see, their control to where somebody else in the studio, like, you need to do this, you need to do this. But it's like, you don't even know me. How you telling me what I should record? And it was that frustration. And I think that this is really a Northern California problem. If you look at the verses, Too Short battles E40. Too Short battles E40 because them are the only two people who like those, as big as they are in pop culture, hip hop culture, they never signed a big deal. They both had situations with Jive. I'm not going to deny that, but it's like we don't have a Snoop Dogg who signed a Death Row. We don't have people like, it's in our culture to not take the big deal. And I was just having this conversation with somebody, like, it's cool if not a lot of people take the big deal, but some people should. We should have Sweeties and G-Eazy's and people who are from Northern California who actually took a big deal so they could, because like if every region has 4 major label artists signed, that gives a lot of opportunity out to that area. Because then when you go on tour, you always pull 2 or 3 people from your hometown. So then if it's 4 people, they're all looking out for 3 other artists each from Northern California. And it's like, it's a trickle down effect. Whereas now there's no major label real artists outside of those people. And the circuit's smaller. Cause I just know from when I was with Short 2013 and he's going to, like, I would say the circuit now for new young talent is Modesto, the Bay, LA, Vegas, maybe Phoenix, and you go home and you pat yourself on the back. San Diego. But when I go with Short, they go so far up north. It's like, you guys should come out here too. Don't think that these people in Seattle and Oregon and Wichita, don't think they only like old Bay Area artists. They like you guys too. You guys just don't come out here. Come out here and set up a show and build your fan base out here too, because they're waiting and you're not. So like I learned that too about, and you'll never learn like the real circuit until you get around some people who actually care about you, or you eavesdrop on a conversation between gatekeepers, or you go on Clubhouse and eavesdrop yourself. Like that's how I learned people who are part of like the old school circuit, and they have a lot to say about the youngster circuit. It's just that this is all they know. So like I do wish that some people would take the major deal. I don't think all artists can do it independent, especially when you're doing that rah tough talk. You maybe need a label so you can have a legitimate venue that has security. Because I think a lot of that, what's leading to a lot of artists dying is you're an independent gangster artist, and now in this generation they rapping about your friends dead people, and they saying that in a song, and then you're doing bars, small like theaters, and it's like you're very open for somebody to do something back or whatever. So like, even if not for protection, but like just to make a solidified career, there's nothing wrong with it. I've seen Drake thrive, and he's somebody who's had terrible deals that nobody talks about, but he worked his way out. Now he got a deal with Interscope for 400 million, and he may not own his masters, but sweet Jesus, 400 million, like, and I always bring that up, and everybody says, oh, everybody can't do it like that, like Drake. Everybody can't do it like Drake. But the thing is, you complain about it. I've never heard Drake complain about being signed to Young Money, and Young Money signed to Cash Money, and Cash Money signed to Universal. Your money getting split this ways. And like, his greatest hits he made, I don't think he owns any of his music, but I think he played the game right when it comes to signing with a label and, giving up a lot of your publishing. Cause like, I never knew the percentages was this low. Like I seen one that said Kanye West and Jay-Z they split 17% publishing for Watch the Throne. And I'm like, I wouldn't even sign for 17%. Like, I need to really do my research because, like, this is Jay-Z after like his acclaim where it's like non-negotiable that he's one of the greats. And this is Kanye after his College Dropout series, after 808s and Heartbreaks, and right after My Dark Twisted Fantasy. And you guys split 17%. So that when I found that out like 2 years ago, it's like, what the fuck are you really getting in the deal? Or are they gonna push this music so much that's why they want to own so much of it? It all depends on the deal you get and if you rub people the right way. But like it's dangerous. But I do think most artists aren't equipped, especially in the urban realm, to just go tour spot to spot spitting this dangerous ass stuff that really it makes you know the gangsters in every hood show up to see if you really about that, you know. And if you blow somebody off, who knows what happens in the parking lot. So I think a lot of people should, you know, especially from the Bay, because I've been out here in LA and I've seen how people built their career up to sign with a major and to at least do one partnership up, and it does very good. So I think it's a lot of risk, but it's a lot of reward. And even on the independent stage, it's that too. I just think it's not enough major label representation by Bay Area artists.
And I find that so fascinating because we've had Rick DeJesus of Adelita's Way on here, and he had a huge falling out with his record company, and he was not able to obtain his original masters, but he did put a clause in there where he was able to re-record. We had, you know, Ryan Patrick from Otherwise, where he, you know, was talking about their new album, and he ventured into very slightly how much control the record label has, and they have about five records out on a major label. We also talked to Michael Cimino of Le Victor, and we talked about his music, and we talked about him getting signed to a major label and how he was hesitant because he said the music industry is compared to television and movies is basically like the wild, wild west. And I see a lot of times that rappers are getting shot and they're killed. And a lot of them, you know, because I did the rap, you know, in the 90s, and now, you know, I'm not hip on all of the new rap and everything like that, but I keep seeing like fucking, I swear it's like once a month, it's like, you know, rapper such and such shot dead. I'm like, damn, what is happening to all these people? Because in the metal rock community, our people are ODing.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing. They're fucking ODing. I mean, even, you know, you have people like the lead singer for Quiet Riot. He OD'd a couple years ago. This motherfucker was 56. What the fuck you still getting high for like that at 50 fucking 6?
damn,
you know, I mean, you know, you need to go beyond that shit. And so in the metal community, that's what takes them out, or suicide. Suicide, but predominantly ODing. But it seems to be in the rap community, from what I know, it seems to be a homicide where they're getting shot or stuff like that. And I kind of thought all that shit kind of went out with Suge Knight. And now that makes so much sense to me when you're talking about a small venue, because we've also talked on the show about how the major labels, they, you know, they have the distribution channels, and then they have, you know, and how how the artist has to get fucked at kind of paying all that shit back in the bigger venues. But it's very interesting because we talked about security and who's involved with it, whose responsibilities are the concerts with Travis Scott's Astroworld. We did an episode on that. And so obviously this is something completely different, but when you're talking about people getting emboldened in this crazy ass place we're living in, and being in a small venue and having somebody not be able to tell the difference between I'm rapping in my song, but I'm not trying to, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to personally like attack you, fight you, get in a confrontation with you. And that just, wow, that's such an interesting take on it, because that's something we haven't heard with all of the artists that we've talked to.
It's very complicated because it's like, okay, if you don't get security, you have your boys who you kind of grew up with. And I guess there's an unsaid, because it's never said, it's an unsaid that, okay, if something goes down, if we go to Nebraska and we get love, people hating on us, and take out, and never forget that, you know, we're talking to people's baby mamas on stage, people's ex-girlfriends who they maybe came to see in public, because we're not taking them to private, we're getting to know them. You're going to a Denny's like 2 miles down the street, some people may wanted to get a verse from you and you blew them off, or it's a lot of internal stuff. So it's like, I'm supposed to kill for this dude. Where's the money at? I ain't got no money. I'm on the rise. No, you just got paid for this show, you know? And then some artists are selfish to where you don't want to pay. You don't want to pay for security and look weak, but you don't want to pay your friends who are basically going to take a murder check case on the road, you know, for you, I guess, and you don't want to pay them. There's envy. Is, you know, some people just start rapping because there's an opportunity now. Then there's well, how much time you got on your show? You got 40 minutes. Let me get 10 minutes. I can't get 10 minutes, but I'd be with you everywhere. When that fight last month, you know, out of state, I was brawling with you. I can't get 10 minutes. I'm a rapper now. And it's a lot. It's so much integral stuff that I think it's hard to put that out. It happens to sign artists too, but when you're on your own and you're the bag or you're the big name, it's on you. And I think some people aren't built to be a quarterback. They're really built to be a running back. Once I get the ball, I do my thing. I score my touchdown. You know, a lot of people can't develop this person, make this person like this, talk to people who maybe have security details, maybe always try to look at the venue you book, look at its history, look at the promoters, its janky promoters. There's like the E40 and Biggie situation where E40 booked Biggie just to let them know, like, hey, don't play around here, you know. And it's always been like that. I do think murder and hip hop specifically is a business now. So when you see somebody online being blatantly disrespectful, a lot of people sign that artist, because like if you continue to do this, your music is going to blow up or at least get a lot of eyes. And if you get killed behind doing this, at least we get a piece of your publishing. And I think a lot of people aren't putting together that. I've even heard rumors, I can't confirm or not, that, you know, some of these labels and situations, they're putting life insurance behind some of these artists.
Yeah.
And it's like,
we
I
did
can believe that. Yeah.
we did an episode on it actually. Well, that's how the whole East Coast, West Coast thing started, right? Wasn't it at the Vibe Awards where something happened, like there was some kind of conflict between something, and then Snoop came out. He's like, what, y'all don't got love for Dre? And then it just turned into this whole thing. And then it started spiraling out of control. And then the East and West Coast. And then of course we saw, you know, Tupac and Biggie both getting killed out of that. And it, I guess, temporarily squashed it kind of, but not really. And that is so, I love this. This is so fascinating because it is about music, but it's also about, you know, loyalties that are tied. And I think maybe a record label, to your point, Upgrade, can run interference like that and be like, no, motherfucker, because I said no. And I'm the one holding the purse. And, you know, there's a song by Pink Floyd called Have a Cigar, and it's talking about them talking to a record label. And basically he's like, you know, send the widow some flowers. Or is that a Tom Petty song? Anyway, no, I think that's a Tom Petty song anyway, which exactly that. It's like, you know, it's a Tom Petty song where he says, get a young girl, basically put her in a negligee and have her treat her a guitar lick. And then if she dies, we still keep all of her money and, you know, send, you know, whatever. And they absolutely do put the life insurance behind them. And you're right, because they do own the masters. And then of course we've seen with Prince and Michael Jackson and a whole bunch of other people that have deceased, soon as they do, their fucking music goes through the roof.
Yeah.
Right. And now you got on the strip here, holograms of Whitney Houston.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
There's a whole show of literally a hologram of Whitney Houston. I don't know if it's from an actual concert she did. It was when she was in her kind of shorty bob kind of thing, and she had her brown leather jacket style on.
Was
and
it
now they're
Bodyguard?
no, it was before that. So now they're doing that because, you know, there's a certain amount of control that's lost when the artist technically dies. You know, Prince just settled his fucking estate after 6 years. Well, they settled the estate. So I find that so fucking fascinating. And so do you think if you were presented with the option to sign with a major label through everything we've talked about, the goods, bads, and the uglies, do you think you would sign now? Do you think it was just maturity, or it was just, no, fuck y'all, I don't want to be signed to you regardless of my age or whatever? Like if they came right now and said, okay, we got you, would you do it?
It all depends on like how serious they were, you know. I'm not saying like I need a Drake deal. I just need a fair deal where I could work my way out. And kind of like see who, you know, in the top floors of the building like are pushing for me specifically, and have those contacts, and just to see like, you know, are they gonna have a label lawyer look at my contract for me? Because I think like that's a shady move. A lot of people don't realize is shady.
Mhm.
And like some lawyers can be bought. Like if you
Yep.
get them to sign this bullshit deal, we'll give you 20,000, you know.
Yep.
And that's a lawyer that you came and found. But since you found them, you know, money talks and bullshit walks. Another thing is management, but like I put like this, I've seen so many people sign to Universal and they don't have nothing going on. I've watched an artist blow a single with a reputable name, and in my head I'm like, that's 80,000, you're in the hole right now, you know. Like he's not giving you that verse out of love, and then it's the marketing that went to marketing this song, and then it's the video, and then it's the studio time. So as long as I'm not in a situation where I have to use 2,000 an hour studios, I have to use big established production beats that cost like 40,000 each, and they're just running up a bill with me to keep me in debt, I would be very open to it. But it's just 9 times out of 10, I think that it's not necessarily the label's fault. I think a lot of artists want that, and you don't understand that it's not free, you know.
Mhm.
I've picked out beats from Too Short's library. They're Lil Jon beats. He was like, that song better be worth 20,000, or you might as well find another beat to rap on. I'm like, oh, this is a Lil Jon beat. I want this. That beat costs 20,000. Oh shit. Let me go upstairs. You know? So it's tough. It's tough. It's not for everybody, but I've seen specific artists who just buckle down and not complain, work their way out of bad deals. I don't even think there's such thing as necessarily a good deal unless you have been proven to go like 3 times platinum out of 5 albums you drop. Then they start doing like, you know, some deals with some humanity in them. But on the first album, I think like everybody gets played. I'm seeing a lot of back and forth even with Mason Diddy right now. I'm like, you guys are still mad at each other over a deal you signed. That's a thing too. Like, how mad can you be at an artist for signing his pub away at the end of the day? And like, you know, Mace is mad at Diddy because Diddy won't sell him the piece of publishing he has on his music. But it's like, why did you sign it away? You know, it's that part too that's like, I want to say it's the industry fault, but you signed it. You didn't look at it. You did look at it. 17% is cool, but like I've heard there's like, you have to get back in the green to get that full 17%. As long as you owe money, you get even less than that. You're going to get like 5% or whatever.
Yep.
And then if you want work yourself back into the green, then you get 17%. So like it's a lot. I see rappers on jets and you wonder why you're not getting your money. Like, see, short will fly Southwest, American, whatever's cheap at the affordable. They book their flights so far in advance. They book shows so far in advance. Like, he's really good at money management. And I don't think a lot of humans are, period, when it comes to just being financially disciplined. You know, like he has a lot of cars. I don't know if he do shows for 4 cars, but I noticed like he got a lot of cars, you know, and it's like, but they're not like hella $400,000 cars. It's not the 1.6 million Bugatti. It's not none of that, but like he stays in some fly stuff. So I think that if you're actually of the culture and you're outside, you should be better than a lot of other people when it comes to money discipline. But that doesn't always happen because a lot of people never had 10,000. And then for you to be sitting on 80,000, you're gonna put a down payment for a Wraith. It's like, wait. Where is the rest of the money gonna come up? You know, you're gonna have to live in this motherfucker pretty soon if you don't have no money like to. So I think like that's a big part too. A lot of people bought chains during the EDD phase. I went to Vegas. I watched somebody spend 40,000 at MGM. They have I've never been up here too. I mess with these guys. They have like an upstairs loft area where they have 2-story rooms. And I'm like, this is nice. He's like, yeah, 2,500 a day. What? And then he's feeding everybody breakfast, $1,000. I'm looking like, I don't know if you guys watch Everybody Hates Chris, but there's a dad who's always watching The Price of Money. So he's like, $17 orange juice, fucking $15 scrambled eggs. And I'm just looking like in awe, like, damn. And they do music. And they told me like, oh yeah, we're trying to get a deal. We're trying to do this and that. And I looked at the Instagram and it's like, you're not necessarily trying to get a deal. You're trying to showcase a lifestyle and hope that, you know, somebody comes and offers you a tour or a situation based on your lifestyle. But you spending 40,000 right now. I'm like, if you would have gave a major label 40,000 up front, you probably could have got yourself signed. But instead you chose to do and it was way more than that. That's just how much the room, and they burnt a carpet. They burnt a couch that was L-shaped. This is how I know they had some money. I was just being a smart ass. I was like, if they're gonna make you pay for it, pay for the whole couch. And they really called the MGM regional, whatever, it's not even in the state of Nevada. It's like, yeah, we have to pay for this couch that we left burnt marks on. So we would have paid for the whole couch. And they was like, the part you burnt for it is like 4,000. The rest of it is 6,000. If you pay that, we will give you this whole ass couch. And they really thought about it. I'm like, bro, what the fuck is going on with you guys, bro? You were gonna buy a fucking big ass leather L shape. I'm like, bro, come on, man. You could have like secured a deal. You could have just kept the money to yourself, signed a fucked up deal, and you would have had 40 more thousand to invest on just kind of stuff to shows, TikTok people, influencers to do stuff to your music just to get into the green of the fucked up deal you had. Or you could have made your own label, you know, but with watching what people did with the EDD and the PPP, whether they did it fraud or legally, it's like, you just want to look like you're winning. You don't want to actually set up winning. You don't want to set up a LLC with your label. You don't want to actually have a budget to make high quality. You could skip t-shirts and go straight to like real high fashion, high quality jackets and garments. You don't want to do all that. You just want to spend the money, you know. And I was very disappointed with people. And I think that's what a lot of people do. They're not even signing for money at first. They're signing for popularity and clout. And then once you see some people getting money, that's when you start to get jealous. You guys got how much for this show? Oh, you guys got paid double? Yeah, they focused on business. You focusing on the lifestyle. As long as it looks pretty and the aesthetics match, like you'll be quiet. So like I think that's an issue too when it comes to just what your focus is. It's like a basketball. Some people ain't gonna make it to the NBA, but they have enough skill and talent in business to where I live off basketball. I'm a basketball coach, or I do AAU. I go play in China for a couple of years, come back, but I'm still a basketball player and I make money off that. Some people just want to do highlights and dunk, and like you're not in the business enough. It's the music industry. And I think it's really the music business. Some people focus too much on industry and they try to network, and you just become entourage to a whole bunch of people. That's why I fell back with Short for a minute too, because it's like I'm learning, I'm meeting people. It's not really the time to set up business for myself individually, but like I do need to go out there into the world without Short and meet people and build my own relationship too. Because like he still knows people who was working at Jive Records in the 90s. They just work at Atlantic now. And it's like I heard people say that major labels just switch labels. Once the head goes over here, he takes his whole staff, and vice versa or whatever. And I think that that's still true to this day. So it's just how you work it and what your focus is, I think.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about you know, in the rock world, everybody wants to destroy hotel rooms like fucking jackasses, like they're
Yeah.
living the rock and roll lifestyle. And then that shit's coming out of your paycheck, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then every time you have a concert that has riders that you want all this extra stupid retarded shit that you're not going to fucking eat, or you just want it
Yeah.
there, you know, and then all that shit comes out of your money too, all that ridiculousness. You know, there's the story with David Lee Roth from Van Halen where he was like, oh, I want M&Ms backstage, but I don't want no brown M&Ms. And everybody was like, oh, this man's a diva. No, he did it because he wanted to make sure these motherfuckers read the record contract. But the thing is that every time, as we talked about before, every time that you get all this extra shit while you're on the road, that shit is coming out over and over and over out of your paycheck. So when you do get caught up in the lifestyle, that's exactly what happens. And I mean, I think it's just so interesting, and it just goes back to the fact that it's it's all down to money all the time. And I wanted to segue just real quick, because I remember at the very beginning of this, you were talking about like listening to Smashing Pumpkins and how much you loved it, even though you loved rap. And that's like Rick Rubin, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, he had all these beats all just hanging out in his little synthesizer thing, but he's a total fucking metalhead too, because he just loves music. And I just think that's awesome.
So I understand that you are also an actor, and you've been in a film which I didn't understand the title of, but now I very much do. Licks, correct?
Ah,
Nah.
nah. Such fucking seventh grade boy.
I know, we're like, licks. Oh my God.
Yeah, and it'll fool you too, because it's really, I think it's I was told it was the first urban film done on Red Cam. The director spent his college tuition. I did not take this movie serious. I'm gonna keep it solid. Like, to
How
be
did
honest,
you get into it? How did they find you?
I
mean,
lived
how-
in
yeah, how'd
West
you get
Oakland, and
Okay.
they knew me for my music, and
Okay.
they always knew I was kind of comfortable on camera. I was funny, so they was kind of like, "You want to do a movie?" And I never understood how music and movies worked, especially the business. So they gave me a couple thousand. I should have negotiated for like publishing in the movie. I didn't even know I
Right.
could do that or whatever.
Right.
So I just took the money. I didn't want to like scam them, because his brother his brother's name, I forget his name, but he made a big record called Fly Like a G6. It's an EDM record.
Oh,
I forgot
yes.
the
Yeah.
Oh, no.
something Asian movement, the
It's fucking
Far
annoying.
East, Far East movement, right?
He's a twin. One made Fly Like a G6, the other
Right.
made Licks. That's all I know, really.
Oh,
I got it. I
wow.
got that shit on my phone. I fucking love that song.
Do
Fly
you
Like a
really?
G6.
Oh, it
I
drives
fucking
Yeah.
me
do. I
it
love
drives
that
me
shit.
crazy.
I love it.
No.
Yeah, so like I knew his brother was like big in the industry, so it's like I'm not taking it that serious. I'm showing up to script rehearsal, and I thought the writing was very corny for me or whatever. At first, they was trying to figure out who you want to be. They told me everything that happens with everybody, and I chose to be the bad guy just because I don't know. I just didn't like what happened to everybody else and how they be portrayed or whatever.
What was the premise of the movie? I mean, without giving it all away, because we're all going to watch it now.
It was about somebody who went to jail for mimicking having a gun and robbing a store, and him getting out of jail and him trying to get his life right. And I'm the bad guy. So we're doing like script rehearsal and stuff. I'm not really taking it serious. And then it's time to shoot. So I had an easy shoot my first day. I didn't really need to talk. And I seen trucks. I'm like, what the fuck going on here? It's a fair? They're like, no, they're shooting a movie. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm supposed to be here for a movie. And then they showed me like, because I didn't think it was going to be that big. They told me high school tuition. I didn't think it was going to be that big. They showed me the Red Cam, and this is like 2012, big ass Optimus Prime, hella metal. It's like, yeah, this camera costs 80,000. Like, oh, swear to God. Like, yeah, this is, and I started to think about all the music videos I did. And I told my friend who I got into the movie too, I'm like, remember that one video we did where you look stupid and we always kind of like pause it and look at you in the corner and kind of give you a hard time? It's like, this is a movie, so it's going to be like that times 10. So I went back home, even though I didn't have any words that day, I kind of got my mind right. And I was like, yeah, I gotta make sure I do my thing on this. This is a real movie. I didn't think it was gonna be like that. There's a dude named Rob Witz. He's big. There's somebody else who damn, I forget his name. He shot Kendrick Lamar's All Right video, and he shot Chris Brown's Deuces video. But he was on set too. And I'm like, damn, there's some real powerhouse people. Like, this is gonna be important. So I started applying myself maybe a little later than I should have, actually, honestly. And I did good. And they went to Chelsea Film Festival in New York. They didn't even bring me. And they told me like it won every category it was enlisted in: best film, best supporting cast, best leading cast. Anything Licks was in it won. And then we got invited to South by Southwest. And I got to really see how the film affected people. And it was like people were so like, oh, you're in the movie. That's dope. That's dope. And then after they watched the movie, they would be scared to even fucking talk to me. They were like,
that means you did your fucking job.
I
That
was
means
gonna say, yeah, you did good.
like, what now, bitch? What?
yeah, like somebody's
Like,
mom called me a bitch. Like, you were a bitch. I hated you. Oh my God. I'm like, oh, kind of hurt my feelings. Like, damn, Granny.
That
But
means you're a really good actor, right? Because
yeah, I guess
obviously
so.
you're not.
But yeah, the movie's called Licks. So I play one of the main bad guys, and like I watch it today and I feel like I could do way better. I've been in LA for a while. I only did like one casting couch. It's just kind of hard to read people on that. Not gonna lie, like they'll be all smiles, like you did good. And it's like they didn't call me back.
Yeah.
And like I don't know what they were looking for. It's just tough because they went and found me. I also was an extra in Fruitville, the Michael B. Jordan Oakland film too, about Oscar Grant. I was an extra in that. I didn't have any talking roles. But those two happened back to back. Licks came out, and then Too Short told me he's moving his whole movement from downtown Oakland to LA. And he was like, you know me, you know E40. Are you waiting to meet, Hanks? Are you waiting to meet Tom Hanks before you leave Oakland and go somewhere else? Like, who else do you
No,
want
I'm
to meet
with
out
you.
here?
Yeah, God, I'm
So
running
I'm
away
like-
from Tom Hanks. You know my feelings on Tom Hanks, Mel.
Yeah, so I left and I've been out here ever since. I do want to try to get into the acting. I could do like social media skits. I'm pretty funny. It's just, I don't know the acting game at all. I probably need to get a manager or go to a talent agency. I'll figure it out. It's just all this. Every time I want to get back into the world, it's like a remix COVID, monkeypox and shit now. It's like, damn, man, I can't even risk it.
Yeah, it's always something. Yeah, you might need an agent, right?
So Upgrade, man, this was so, first of all, this is why I love not having scripted questions, because you don't know what the fuck we're going to start talking about. And
Yeah.
if somebody would have said, I never would have thought that the conversation went this way, but I'm so happy it did, because I love hearing an alternate opinion of something that, especially on this show, we've talked so much about major labels and how they fuck people. And it's very interesting how the different sectors of music are all kind of have their own different set of rules that they play by. And I am just so fucking thankful and so happy that you came on this show. So tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, plug all your stuff.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram majorly, DJ_upgrade. I'm on Clubhouse. I think DJ Upgrade, no spaces. And I'm on, most importantly, Spotify and Apple Music. Look me up on there, and throw me some spins, go through my best stream songs, maybe try to find some cuts you like. My older stuff, to be honest, is some of it is very like creative, and I used to be ashamed of it. I've learned to be proud of it. A lot of people go through my older music and they're like, why you don't make shit like this no more? And it's like, I think you start to just try to push a hit to change your career instead of keep developing who you are. So like, I'm out there. Yeah, but my main contact source is Instagram.
Right on. So you guys make sure you go follow all of his stuff. We're going to have a link to all of his stuff in the show notes, as well as the trailer to the movie. And
Licks. I'm just reminding everyone what it's called.
yes, Licks.
That was
Even though-
Licks, right?
even though she couldn't understand what the fuck the title was before, but now that she
Yeah,
knows
now I've
like
got it.
sexual,
completely
she's all
down.
fucking-
Now I'm like, oh yeah, I understand.
got a
I
big
want to
hard on
see
for it.
that. Oh, I
Yeah.
do already. Yeah.
Yeah, but we sincerely appreciate you coming on the show. This has been fucking amazing. I can't wait to have you back on and get more insights from you. This has been such an honor and we appreciate it. And thank you for coming on. And with that, we are out this bitch.
Cheerio.
Thanks for listening. If you like us, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.